Hi, I'm Cliff Wells, Regional Director for Decorating Den Interiors here in South Florida. And if you've been participating in our exchange of information, you know that I've promised you an opportunity to visit with us in an actual design studio with one of our franchisees. Today we're very fortunate to be in Fort Lauderdale with my colleague and long-term friend Sharon Binkard. Hi Sharon.
Hi Cliff, welcome.
So Sharon, I know that our viewers are very anxious to see your design studio, but I think it's important that they know a little bit more about you so that they can relate as well as possible. And one of the things I think that they're curious about is you had a successful career in the business world. When you decided to make the change, that you were at that position in your life that you could actually become a designer as you wanted to be, there were a couple of other ways to do it other than a franchise. You could have just printed up some business card and called yourself a decorator in our state. And of course, you could have also gone to a 4-year design school and gotten a degree and kind of gone the commercial route. Can you explain to our viewers kind of where you were at that time and why you made the decision you did?
Well, I was a school teacher for 6 years, and then I was in corporate human resources in the banking industry for 15. Spent a short period of time as a human resources executive with Discovery Zone, which was bought out. And at the time, I decided to go into business for myself and do something I really love. And I had worked with a Decorating Den franchise owner myself in my own home and really liked the experience. I thought that the in-home full-service interior design concept was a great idea. And the franchise owner at the time actually said to me, you know, you're very good at this. If you ever decide that you want to get into the business, let me know. You could be a decorator for me. And as it turned out, I decided that when it was time to leave the corporate world, she was ready to sell her franchise, and we came together, met you, went through the process, and it seemed like the perfect fit for me. With the corporate support that we have at Decorating Den Interiors, both from a training standpoint as well as education and all of the support with the national suppliers, that really seemed like the way to go for me because I had been in a corporation and a corporate environment for so long that I really liked that corporate tie-in. I felt like I would get that kind of support rather than being an independent out there on my own, especially new to the industry.
And did you ever think about design school, a 4-year degree?
I did, but that's a very expensive proposition, especially in today's environment. And I was more mature and had been in the business world. I knew I was a good salesperson, had a passion for it. And again, that cost compared to taking that money, putting it into my business, especially with marketing that needed to be done, seemed like the better expenditure of funds, and taking that 4 years or however long it would take and putting that into learning the business, taking all the regional training opportunities that we have, as well as our annual conference and the seminars that are available to us online, that seemed like a better use of my time to really get my arms around the business that I love and dive right in.
So Sharon, before we get up and actually do the tour of your studio, I think it's important that we make sure all of our viewers understand and remind them that you've been in business now for almost 15 years and that this is a bigger studio than a startup studio. You have high-end clients, you've got a lot of beautiful things here, and you've built this library basically over time as you learned your market. Most franchisees start out of their home with a studio. It's in bedrooms, maybe they use part of the garage. There are a lot of ways to do that, but it's important that they keep their costs down. As they grow their business, hire an administrative assistant, maybe have decorators working for them, and certainly get more library supplies, more vendor samples, then they need to probably be in an office warehouse like you're in here. So now that we've made that clear, let's go on a tour.
Great. Well, Cliff, as you know, each franchise owner sets up his or her own library the way it works best for them. The way I have found works best for me is I set up with all of my furniture catalogs back here. As you can see, we carry everything from Stanley to Baker to Century. I also have all of my hard window treatments back here as well. Cliff, as you know, woven shades have made a great comeback, and I've got a very extensive catalog of them. This is a good example of knowing what the customer wants and making sure that you have those samples in your library. Cliff, the way that I set up my fabrics is I put upholstery fabrics together, and I also make sure that the fabric books that I'm in the most are up here at waist level. I also have all of my wallpaper books. Wallpaper fell out of favor for a while, and it made a comeback with grass cloth. So we started carrying a lot more grass cloth wallpaper books, and now the wallpaper books are showing a lot of textures and a lot of metallics. Another advantage of being a Decorating Den franchisee is our preferred supplier program. As you can see, we have fabrics from Cashmere, Kravet, Fabricut, and Dura-Lee.
Well, Sharon, after the tour, that was really great. And of course, I know you always keep your studio as clean and neat as it is today, right?
Yes, every day.
I thought so. But you did pull out one of the projects you're working on at our request, and I thought we might just spend just a minute showing our viewers kind of how you pull a project together and all of the pieces that make up what is really a pretty complex job, but shows so beautifully when the client walks into their new bedroom.
Sure. Well, this is a master bedroom redo for two doctors who have very little time. And so what I normally do, the process starts with taking before photographs. Also, I will typically do a floor plan for the room. Also, the components that were most important to the client was to have a seating area, have new bedding, new bedroom furniture. Of course, we have area rugs. I always include paint color choices so that they can paint to work with what we're doing. We have a king size reversible comforter that we're working with. We're going to be doing a custom tufted headboard, custom bed skirt, custom window treatments, custom upholstered furniture, all custom, Cliff, except for the paint.
Right.
We're even doing a custom area rug, and I'm working with a contractor to help them introduce a fireplace in the master bedroom. That's where the seating area is going to be with these wonderful chairs. I use a lot of photography when I'm talking with my clients. I find that to give them a visual reference is very important. These are high-end fabrics from some of our national suppliers, I'm happy to say. And I think that once we're finished, it's going to be an absolutely beautiful look.
So your job is really to pull this all together. So even though it's not a room set out of a big
Correct.
store,
Correct.
You're giving them a custom look of pieces that aren't out of the same mold necessarily, but they absolutely are all gorgeous together for a real custom look. And that's really the difference of an interior designer versus going to a store and buying a bedroom set.
Exactly. It's an eclectic look that all gets pulled together by a professional designer, and that's what they were looking for.
Well, this is very helpful. I'm sure our viewers have enjoyed seeing this today, so thank you again for the time to explain a little bit about how you make one of these projects so gorgeous.
You're very welcome.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have, and Sharon perhaps as well. This has been a great opportunity here in an actual working design studio for Decorating Den Interiors to get a good idea of what it is we work with, the sort of products that we show our clients, and how we actually pull together a job to make a sale and to make a very satisfied client. It's been very important, Sharon, for us to have this. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time and effort to do this today. We do really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
I would suggest that you think about this video, maybe look at it again if you want to. I'm always available for questions, and at the bottom of the screen here you'll see some ways that you can continue this conversation while you consider a career possibility with Decorating Den Interiors. That's all for now. Thanks.